$1 billion budget gap that came about by no fault of our own. There's a whole budget that we had approved already, and Congress went on ahead and made that gap. So given that, I wanted to ask the panelists, and we do have to remind ourselves, there's a $400 million effort right now in terms of hiring freezes and things like that. I want the panel to just talk about what's on their mind. What are they hearing in the streets of DC right now, or in their organizing circles among the people? What are people most concerned about, and what is it that we can expect as far as the people are concerned as DC and Congress continue this tug of war? Let's start with Sam first, since he was the last.
What I'm certainly focused on is this is a attack on working people, organized or unorganized, and we speak on behalf of working people and working families. And what Congress is doing is transferring wealth. Our last administration was revered because they took a different tack with working people. And what corporations saw was organized, ordinary working people had the power. And what they came back and said, we're not going to pay for their labor, we're going to take their health care, and so what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to fire the federal government. DC has always been recession-proof because of the federal government. And some of those ancestors, like Mary and Mary, who you got your first job with, many of you ended up in the federal government as GS-15. And this is now a huge transfer of power where many of you have been leading your agencies or an assistant director, and you now have a good house, you got health care, and those corporations and Elon Musk all want that back now. And it's an attack on workers here in DC. So this $1 billion, they don't care if it's our own money. They're saying, we want it back and we're going to make you suffer. So we're hearing anxiety, but I'm going to tell you the AFL, our council, fund, is going to continue to fight both legally and take them to court on everything, but also organize. We are organizing right now. We are organizing in the streets now to fight that.
Ms. Nene.
So for me, I'm up here with two hats, right? So, I'm not going to eat the mic. I hope y'all eat it because I'm not going to eat the mic. But, can y'all hear me? You know, I do have my Southeast voice. So, can you hear me now? So, I'm wearing two hats up here. So, I'm wearing a Hers Dreams, which is an abolitionist hat, and I'm also the co-founder of Free DC. So, with Free DC and Hers Dreams, with them trying to hold out our money and colonize DC, we're not going to be compliant. My concern right now, the youth are out of school. The kids in Northwest have everyday services at the recreation center. The kids in Southeast don't have everyday rec. Let's be clear. I didn't go blind to that. I don't know if some of y'all saw the news and say the kids got something to do every day. The kids in Southeast ain't got something to do every day. So I worry about them kids, those youth that Ed Martin, if he becomes U.S. attorney, want to target and send them to jail when they don't have a summer program. So that's what's concerning to me, because with unemployment reaps crime. With crime comes enslavement. So it's up to us to be non-compliant and fight back.
Because, you know, history is definitely cyclical. We brought up a lot of good points that we can touch on a little later, so I definitely appreciate that.
Ty, I mean, the conversations that I'm hearing in the streets are probably some of the conversations you guys are hearing. DC, home of all the federal workers, once, like my brother just said, an aspirational position to have. Something that we were told to go into for security, that now is subject to the whims of a billionaire who has no attachment to the realities he's destroying, right? We have DC as a historical sanctuary city, a city that called refugees and folks from all nations to come and see the American dream and experience the American dream. I'm the son of an immigrant. My mom became American in 2000, right? So I'm a beneficiary of an America that was receptive at a point in time. What we're hearing in the streets is that maybe the DC that we've known, maybe the American we thought we've come to know, has shifted quite a bit. And it used to be about GOP and the liberal. This identity politics that we're in under this administration is straight up fascism. And you gotta call it that. And you have to call it that to be able to create a real strategy to fight it back. We can't sit here and act like this is the regular political game that we're playing. And so the fear that is driving Washington, D.C. right now is not the normal political fear about whether my side wins or loses. It's about whether lawful U.S. citizens will be deported to El Salvador and not brought back, even though we know we made a mistake. We're in a constitutional crisis. And so we already knew as a lack of a state that we were subject to the vulnerabilities that this flawed democracy has shown us time and time again. So I think to Nini's point, the biggest thing is no matter what, we have a duty to resist. We have a duty to fight back. If we don't fight back, if we don't elevate this as an issue, who cares about this outside of DC? And again, it's because time and time again, DC statehood, our autonomy, our ability to govern and have rules that reflect our local will, it's been a political football. It's been back from the left, back to the right, back to the left. What we're seeing now is that people are really standing to lose lives and lose the conditions of their lives. We've seen it block needle programs. Right? We've seen it block the introduction of recreational marijuana into Washington, D.C., and who's getting criminalized by that? Who was dying when the needle exchange programs weren't going through, right? So we understand that it's a racial justice issue because the black and brown residents of Washington, D.C., those residents east of the river, like Nini just alluded to, don't have the resources, only stand to lose when D.C. loses more resources. It's our duty to fight. It's our duty to fight. So wherever you are, wherever you think your front lines is, whether that is direct action, whether that is the streets, a panel, the hospital, and education, it is our duty to resist and to fight back every way we can.
All right, Reverend Lee, what's on your mind, sir, at this time?
I think one of the things that I think about is it's not just a DC crisis, a regional crisis. That what happens here impacts the whole region. What happened with federal workers is impacting a whole lot of federal workers living in Prince George's County here in the suburban areas, right? So it's a regional crisis that you're also witnessing while there's deficit here. Prince George's County also has deficit. The state of Maryland also has deficit. What happens then when we're dealing with these kind of regional crises is shaped out of regional inequity, this focus at black and brown folks. Right? And so we have to deal with that. And the thing that hits me the most is that we're going to have to fight this in a lot of different ways. But the operative word is fight. We're going to have to fight it on the ground. We're going to have to be outside. We're going to have to do that. But we're also going to be having to fight to shape the safety nets for our people. Because our people are very vulnerable right now. And so we have to be able to shape the things. And we're not going to be able to do it in our siloed ways we've been doing it. So the churches can't do it over here, the business community can't do it over here, the activists just can't do it over here, and the organizers can't do it over here. But we have to look at how to come together and utilize all of our gifts and our talents to make more bricks and less straw. We got to be able to find out how do we take a little bit and take care of folks. And if there's anything we know how to do, we know how to take a little bit and help get our folks through. We done watched our parents do it a long, long time ago, right? Amen? And we done watched folks be able to take a little bit of eggs and a little bit of cheese and a little bit of milk and help feed the whole neighborhood, take care just a little bit. We've got to figure out how to organize in such a way that institutionally and organizationally we're coming together in a way that we're shaping a safety net to take care of our people to get through the season and get through the storm.
Say that. All right, Brother Paul, take it away.
So I'm seeing this, what's happening in DC, as a pattern they want to establish for the whole country. What they see is they want to exert control in a certain way that creates a dynamic where everyone becomes at each other's throats and dependent on billionaires. They take the employment, they take the services, they take the safety net away. And then when the safety net is taken away, they act like they don't know what will happen in terms of crime and social dysfunction. But they're ready for that because what they're going to replace services and equality and justice with is force, violence, just need, and that need is going to be entirely at the dependent of your employer. When there's no federal employment, all you have is the restaurant groups. I mean, you'll be entirely at the mercy of people who don't care about your life at all, or your community, or anything that's happening in DC or in communities all across the country. They know that if they can do it here, if they can exert that control here, that sets the precedent to disinvest and to reshape society to be entirely without support everywhere. But because we can see that here and we see how existential it is here, we have the opportunity in such a small state, or a small place that should be a state, we have the opportunity to organize here across every divide that we've had up till now. We don't have time for any of that anymore. This is a life and death situation. This is existential. So the type of coalition that I see in this crowd out here right now, that's what we need to get through this moment. And it's a time for organizing. And we're going to talk about that a lot tonight, but just remember that. It can't just be rallies, it can't just be voting for one party or another. It has to be real organization so that you are ready to take action with other people in your community and to make it a problem for people to continue to come after your standard of living, your rights, your security, and your dignity. You have to make it a problem for them to do that. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Thank y'all so much for your answers. I'm going to pivot to a part of the panel where I'm going to ask questions directly to a couple of the panelists at a time. So that's just to make sure that we get the conversation as rich as possible. It went in a lot of different directions. I'm very interested in hearing more about what our panelists think on certain topics. With that being said, I wanted to address this particularly to Ty and to Ms. Nini. And, you know, I'm looking across the room, I'm trying to figure out how many of the attendees here tonight are under the age of 18. And the second question on my mind is, right, given where we are right now, what is our strategy as far as engaging young people? And I'm speaking to y'all two in particular because you guys are often around young people. How do we bring them in the room? How do we instill trust and rapport with them so that they are equipped to take on the fight with us?
So I'll tell y'all one or two minutes. So for Hurry's Dreams, you might have Hurry's Dreams, we engage with youth all the time. We partner with our youth, right? What I need right now I know every youth is not a criminal. And I need people not to be afraid of our youth because their pants is down. So, I'm blessed to go on any MLK block and be welcome because I respect the youth. I looked them in the eye and I said, what's up? That's it, what's up? And that one what's up, looking them face to face instead of walking down or trying to avoid them, gives me a what's up back, right? And this is how I build rapport with the youth. Then I say, you good. And then from there, whatever if it was somebody that had something on their mind that they may thought they was gonna do, no, she cool, right? So that's my first step when I first engage a youth, any youth, I don't care who it is, but I build with you. And right now, even with Free DC, we get ready to have a team showcase to try to bring all the youth together and have like them a couple of bands show their talent, but we invite all the youth of DC, the black, the white, the Latino, a diversity youth. And the same thing we do with Trigger Project. We have the Gun Prevention Day. We make people come out with Black Swan. Go to the council and tell the council what you want. I'm building for black futures. I back up and make space. I'm bringing the youth and let the youth speak, right? Because if you all don't build for black futures, we won't have a future. So as long as you ignore that youth, just know you dying us out. I'm not going to be here forever. So I got to make space and be a mentor for them and put them in front of me and whisper in their ear and say, look, go get them. Because I need them. They need us. They need us more today than they did yesterday. So please invest in the youth. Block, block, block. In your neighborhood, let them just holler at them. Just if you're an elder, just say, you mind taking my trash out? See what they say. I bet you they'll take your trash out. But you don't say no, they ain't gonna do it. And it's okay, but just ask. And then you can turn that youth around. I got youth that got gun charges. They have shot people. And right today, they don't want that. They do it because they feel like they got to do it and nobody loves them. So I would tell you to please invest in our youth because they are our future.
I think my outreach to young people is kind of straightforward because I think I'm still young. I'll be 30 in June, right? But I feel young. And my engagement with the young people is just an organic engagement. I'm committed to freeing our people wherever I meet them at. Like Sister Gregory said, the chains these days are different. Sometimes they're bought by choice, consumerism. Sometimes they come from deeply entrenched institutions of bias and injustice. Sometimes there's mental chains that have us, inheriting things that we don't need. It's like one big thing for me that I mentor around is like gun violence prevention. We're here in a city fighting each other over blocks we don't own, inheriting beefs that are not really our truth. I go and I tell people, don't get spanked. Don't spin your way into a perpetual future where you have nothing going for yourself, where you can't live your potential. And so I think that at the end of the day, there are definitely some reasons why this crowd is not as young as it could be, should be, or would be, right? And there is a disconnect. I mean, young people are not often brought to the table as co-conspirators, co-collaborators in movement. Like, we understand that we stand on the shoulders of giants, but the beauty about standing on the shoulders of giants is while they're still standing tall, that they impart some of that wisdom, that there's an intergenerational conversation so that we can carry things on. Because you see, passing the torch requires letting go, right? Passing the baton requires letting go. So it has to be just as much of a handoff on the older generation side as it has to be receptive on our side and the ability to kind of, receive the wisdom. I also challenge some of the myths that I think that we inherit. Like, for instance, there's no doubt that slavery did a number on us, right? And there's a conversation, there's black on black crime, there's that. You try telling the mothers of all of my homies who died from people that look like them that black on black crime isn't real. Now we can sit here and we can talk about the reasons why. They get institutional and they are wrong and they are connected to a history. But what I'm saying is, if in 2025 we connect ourselves to generational trauma and the effects of it, let's also connect ourselves to generational bravery, right? And what I mean by that is that we are not just a legacy of that trauma, we're the legacy of people that were sitting by candlelight to read, daring to rebel, daring to fight against the social conditions of their time, even when death was a penalty on the other side of that. So what I'm saying is, if we can channel the excuses, right? If we can channel the things that keep us from our happy ending, let's also channel that generational strength that's been passed down from grandmothers, from grandfathers, from aunties, and uncles. Let's live in that right now. And so my outreach, some of my outreach, I believe needs to come through church as well, though. Because when you look at what's going on right now, we are looking at a generation, and I was just sitting in a sermon from Jamal Bryan a few weeks ago, where black people, young black people in particular, are the most disconnected from church. But church has always been a spiritual home for us. And so it's time now for this church to speak a different language. If young people who could be troops in the army to fight the good fight are choosing mimosas over movement, right? on Sundays. We have to have a conversation about why that is and begin to open the doors and grow our tables so that we can have